Greetings to you all in the name of soon coming Jesus Christ. Today we're going to learn about a man you are familiar with. You might have heard of him before also. Today we're going to learn about the brother of Moses. His name was Aaron. The meaning of Aaron is the one who brings light. Now, since Aaron is associated with Moses, we might, and yes, it's obviously like common that we have heard him because of Moses and in his journey with Moses and how or what were his roles. So let's again brief it up about what exactly was the role, what exactly was the part that Aaron played in leading, basically helping Moses to lead the people of Israel from Egypt to the promised land of Canaan. So let's begin. Aaron was the high priest in the nation of Israel, and as you can see from the picture itself, he had a very specific garment. At that time, the garment of priest was different, like from today's world. For example, the breastplate with 12 precious stones, it signified something like the 12 precious stones signified the 12 tribes of Israel. So each and every detail signified something. So during that time, in the New Testament, like in the Old Testament time, every small things also signified something beautiful, something great, something added something value to it. Not going into brief about the garment of priest, but yeah, maybe we would learn it in some other time. Let's moving on. Aaron was the son of Amram and Jochebed from the tribe of Levi, and his brother's name was obviously Moses, and his sister's name was Miriam. Aaron's wife's name was Elishabe, and he had 4 sons: Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. So this was a brief introduction of Aaron about his family life, what he was actually. Now, why did God choose Aaron? Like, there was already Moses leading the people of Israel. So how did Aaron came into picture? So we will learn about that. Obviously, we know that Moses, after staying into the desert for quite a few years and not speaking to anyone, he had a very thick speech and he used to stammer. Stammer means he used to not speak properly, like he used to break words and then speak. So God appointed Aaron to be his spokesperson. Like wherever Moses wanted to speak, instead of Moses, Aaron would speak on behalf of that. So God chose Aaron for Moses, and Aaron did his job very beautifully. Not only that, but Aaron's staff, or the rod that Aaron carried, also had a great role at that time, at that moment. What did his rod do? His rod performed miracles. For example, I would like to give you a few hints or a few examples about the rod of Aaron. What happens is when Moses goes to meet Pharaoh in order to ask him to leave the people of Israel for worshipping God. So at the first meeting itself, what happens is God tells them, yes, God tells Aaron to drop his rod, and that rod becomes a snake. Seeing this at that assembly of Pharaoh, everyone was like, oh, yeah, that's something good. So Pharaoh calls upon all the magicians of Egypt, and they perform the same miracle. They perform the same magic basically. But what happens is Aaron's rod swallows all the rods of the other magicians. Similarly, we know great event, that is the 10 plagues that occurred in Egypt. That rod had a significant role in those 10 plagues. For example, turning the waters of Nile River into blood, then summoning all the frogs into the palaces, into the whole entire region of Egypt, then killing all the firstborn sons of Egypt. That role, the role of the rod was very important in that. So God chooses God sees at even the small details we have in our life. He knows what things to use, how to inculcate everything from us, like how to inculcate everything. So what happens is, yes, after the killing all the firstborn sons of Egypt, Pharaoh allows the people of Israel to go for worshipping their God. So what happens from there on, journey continues. But what happens is, during that journey, Aaron commits few mistakes, and I would like to give you few examples of that. The first mistake he commits is, there was an event in which Moses was called by the Lord to go up the mountain and to speak to him face to face. Like, yes, God wanted to speak to Moses face to face. So God calls Moses to the mountain, and several days Moses and God were with each other, talking to each other. God was giving all the instructions, all the good things and the bad things the people of Israel need to look out. So what happens is, even God gave Moses the 10 commandments, which were for the people of Israel. And the people of Israel didn't see Moses for quite a few days. So they started questioning Aaron. So they started quarreling and raising questions like, where is Moses? Uh, is he gonna come? Is he gonna lead us? Where is God who brought us out of Egypt? So they started questioning, and they started telling Aaron to give them a god, make them a god, so that they could worship that God who brought them out of Egypt. So, seeing this, Aaron was very disturbed. He came under pressure and he just asked every Israelite to give their ornaments, to give their jewels. And out of those jewels, what did Aaron do is he cast an idol in the form of a golden calf. And all people started worshipping the calf. And at that same time, what happens is Moses came down from the mountain, and seeing this, he becomes furious. He became angry, and he just threw the stone tablets of 10 commandments, and that tablet broke into pieces. Now the tablet was so holy, like God Himself had written the commandments on those tablets. So it was so precious, it was so valuable. But still, what happens is Moses became angry. Why he became angry? Because that first command itself said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. You shall have no other God before me. And the people of Israel worshipped someone other rather than God. And that is the reason. Like Moses felt in his heart that these people are not worthy. These people are not, they don't praise God enough. They don't worship God, the real God who brought them out of Egypt. So realizing this, what happens is Aaron realized his mistakes and he asked for forgiveness. He repented to God, and God, being a forgiving God, God forgave him. Now later on, Aaron commits another mistake. This time he was accompanied with Miriam, his sister. What happens is Aaron and Miriam begin to speak against Moses because of his wife Zipporah. Now Zipporah was the daughter of Jethro the priest. And what happens is, God doesn't like if someone speaks against each other. Like, we being, let's take an example. You have a best friend, and if that best friend speaks against you and behind your back, so you'll feel, and you get to know about it, you'll feel really bad, right? So God didn't wanted these kind of things to happen. He doesn't want these kind of things to happen from our side also. Like, if we find something fault, if we find that person is doing wrong, we should directly speak to him on his face. At least he will realize his mistake. Yes, he would feel bitter at that instance, but later on he will think, yes, he was right. At least he didn't say on my face. At least he said on my face rather than speaking on my back. That is a good thing. So God didn't like uh, the thing about Miriam and Aaron speaking against Moses behind his back. So what happens is, God became angry, and the wrath of God came upon Aaron and Miriam became leprous. Now, seeing this, Aaron was disturbed. He was shocked, and he was like afraid. What he does is, he started praying. He started asking. He told Moses to pray to God so that God could heal Miriam. And what happened is, he realized his mistake again, and God healed Miriam. since God being a forgiving God. Now, rather, like Aaron committed mistakes, but still God chose him for a reason. God chose him as a high priest, and God stood on his decision. So basically, what happens is Moses gave all the duties of priesthood to Aaron and his son, just as God had instructed him. The main duties of a priest at that time was to offer sacrifices in the tabernacle and to be a mediator between God and the people. So you can see from the picture itself that they have to offer sacrifices of all the sins, of all the wrongdoings that to the people of Israel or the priest of Israel did. And once in a year, he, the high priest, was to take the blood of lamb to atone for the sins of himself and the people of Israel, just once in a year, because the place where he went was the most holy place, and that place had the presence of God there. It was the throne of God sitting on the atonement cover on the Ark of Covenant. That seat represented the throne of God. So they were only the high priest was allowed once in a year, and that too with the lamp of blood in his hands. So that place was the most important place in the entire Israel, and in the entire uh, let's say in their journey. So what happens is these were the duties of Aaron. Now what happens is as they started traveling to the promised land, many people came against the decisions of Moses. Like, why is sons of Aaron and Aaron only allowed to serve as priests? Why aren't we allowed? Why didn't God choose us for the duties? So many questions came against Aaron and Moses. But what happens is God made it clear in the first, in an event itself. What happens is there was an event of the budding of Aaron's rod. I would like to describe it now. What happens is since the Israelites came with these questions and started questioning Moses and Aaron, so to show that God really chose Aaron and his sons for the duty of a priest, God made it clear in this event. What happens? They came with these questions, and Moses asked, these people of Israel to bring 12 staffs from the leader of each tribe of Israel and write their name on it. For example, if the leader from the tribe of Levi was Aaron, Aaron's name should be written on Aaron's rod, and they should and each leader would represent his tribe, and they should keep it in the tent of meeting and for a day. And the next day, that rod which was sprouted signifies that that man would become the priest of Israel. So what happens is the next day when all of them gathered in the tent of meeting with Moses saw Aaron's rod had not only sprouted, but it had budded, blossomed, and produced almonds. So this event just makes it clear that there is no one who could stand against someone whom God chose. If God has chosen Aaron, it's for a reason, right? He didn't become on a fluke. God chose him, and God was very firm on his decisions. So this very beautiful event, signifies the firm decision of our God. But unfortunately, what happens is Aaron was not able to enter the promised land because he disobeyed God's command at Kadesh. Now that's a homework for you. How did Aaron disobey God's command? So next time when we meet, I would like you to write it down on a paper or in your notebook and tell me what was the decision or what was the mistake that Aaron committed at Kadesh, because of which he was not allowed to go into the promised land. And he died on Mount Hor at the age of 123, and he gave all his priestly garments, all his priestly duties to his son Eleazar. So this was the story of Aaron. Thank you. May God bless you all.